Ladies and gents, what's up? This is BC. I got my boy David here, who's joining us today in person for an interview. You guys have been enjoying the interview series, and I told you that I would be dropping more of them. So David, for the people who are watching who don't know who you are, let's hear a little introduction.
So just a little bit about me. My name is David Martinez. I own a real estate development company, and I also own a mortgage company. And just this is what we're doing in the space right now. Big things happening in 2024 and 2025. And just thank you for inviting me here.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming, bro. So let's go back. How long have you been like in the industry in general?
In the industry in general, I would say, well, in the real estate space, I would say probably 30 years.
Yeah.
So I would say about that, like 20 something, 30 years, not like deliberately. I would say like saying, okay, I was working this, doing that. I was more like I was educating and growing and learning and then putting myself in that space. So I guess mentally, yes. So like maybe 20 something years, let's say.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then like officially licensed and working, even pre like development, did you do like traditional real estate work? Did you work with the investors? Like what did that look like?
Okay,
before?
well, I guess this is the easiest way to kind of like say how my path went. Yeah. So, because I started really, really early. So when I was 16 years old, I got my first job. I haven't had too many jobs.
Cool.
But my first job when I was 16, I worked at Little Caesars, which is a job my dad got me.
The pizza place, right?
Pizza place, that place is awesome. And then when I was there, I worked there for probably like a year because I wanted to make money. And my dad's like, I'm not going to give you money. You got to go hustle, and make your money because I wanted to get a car. Yeah. So when I went to work there, I worked there probably for like a year. Yeah. But you know, when I got my first paycheck, it was like $200 something, which was Mickey Mouse. But I was like, man, what else can I do? I'm 16 years old. You know, what else can I do? And then in doing that through that process, there was a guy who used to work there who was a lot older than me. The guy had kids and everything. Yeah. And one night they gave me like the nighttime shift where I had to close out the restaurant. Yeah. And I was in the back cleaning all the pans that were all full of thing, and it was like just both dirty pans. And then I didn't care really, but this guy comes to the back and he just taps me on the shoulder and he goes, "How's the pan cleaning going?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's going." And he's like, "Let me tell you something, man. You're 16 years old, right? Yeah. I'm way older than you. I'm here because I made certain wrong decisions, right? Don't do that to yourself. Yeah. Get into real estate." And that's all he said to me. Yeah. And then he left.
He left it at that.
Yes. And then that kind of put in the seed in my head, like, oh, why is he telling me this? Yeah. And then from there, like at 17, I started like looking into books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then that's kind of how my evolution into real estate started with that, my first job.
One moment, one conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Did your dad end up getting you that job at Little Caesars, or was that he told you to get a job? Or?
No, he helped me get it. We went shopping somewhere, and then he was there, and then my dad, and this is I guess attribute a lot of my success because I saw him what he would do. My dad was a person that's like, you do it today and then you make it happen now. Yeah. So we were sitting there and I was telling, he's like, "Oh, you got to do what you got to do in order to get a job." And I was like, okay. And he's like, "Okay, we're here. Yeah. When we get a job." And he goes, "Watch." And he got up and he went straight to the manager and he said, he did some talking and I was just there like, "Oh, what is he doing?" And then the manager calls me over and he's like, "Okay, fill this paper out." And then filled it out the next day. They gave me the job. Wow. So then in him doing that and through me growing up with him, he would always bring me around and I would see like, he would just talk to people and do stuff. Yeah. And then in me seeing that, taking that action, that's how I got the job because he got it for me, but technically he just showed me like, "Hey, you got to go get it." Yeah. And that was just the first step.
Yeah. And then you saw him do that and then it probably was easier for you to apply that into your life.
Yeah, like, because I'm like, that's the norm. That's not weird.
Right. That makes sense. So are you born and raised Miami, South Florida?
No, or? I was born in Puerto Rico.
Okay, cool.
And then I lived in Puerto Rico till I was like 5 or 6. And then like most Puerto Ricans, I migrated to New York. Yeah. I lived there for like a year, which is funny because we moved there because my dad had, he worked from a telecommunications company. And we lived in a hotel for a year. Wow. And I remember when I was this little Puerto Rican kid, like, you know, I didn't know anything. I was like from the barrio. Yeah. So like, you walk into New York and it's just like lights and big cities. And I remember looking out the window and then seeing like just like really nice cars and seeing like billboards. And then I ended up knowing that we lived in a year in front of a hotel in front of the Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I remember like, I was a kid from Puerto Rico. So going into these elevators and seeing like these people like dressed like super sharp. And I was like, dude, that's what I want to look like. That's what I want to do when I get older. That vibe. So I think like, again, like, and that's all with my dad, like putting us in an environment where I would see like, I wasn't exposed to that in Puerto Rico. Like we were throwing rocks, so
it's almost like my family in South America. It's the same thing. Like you come to America and it's like, wow. So when they would come visit, same thing. They're starstruck. You could take them to something very basic and they're like, oh my God, this is incredible. Because of what they're used to seeing, because if you're from the barrio, I mean, it's like, I remember even visiting my family. They don't even have like, paved streets in a lot of places, right? They still go to the well to get water, right? And the neighborhood is like that, right? So it's almost like primitive in a way if you compare it to the States.
Very.
So, okay, so you're there for a year. Then was it because of his job you guys moved out here to Florida?
No, we lived actually in Jersey. We ended up getting a house in Jersey and we lived there probably for a while. I would say like 10 years, which to me, again, it was the perfect transition. And I'll tell you why. Miami, it's Latin people everywhere.
Yeah.
If in New Jersey where I lived, I would say it was like 3 Latin people.
Yeah.
And then the rest were either Jewish, Korean, Japanese. There was all these different cultures.
Yeah.
So when I was in like the early learning ages, I got accustomed to dealing with different individuals.
Yeah.
So that was huge for me.
Yeah.
So we were there for like, I would say like 10 years. And then from there, it's just too cold. And we're from Puerto Rico. We're tropical.
Of course.
And we came here to come with my aunt and uncle that were living here.
Dope. So around like high school, were you in high school?
Yeah, I was just getting a freshman into high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect time. Cool. So that's cool, man. So you get the job, you get into real estate. So what did the first kind of process, because you mentioned reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 16, 17, 18. What was the first kind of leap or process and transition into actually doing real estate?
It's okay. After I quit Little Caesars, right away, I was like, real estate. I got to do it. I'm going to make money. I got my license. I remember my mom would drop me off to go get the classes, and I did the classes, and then I remember taking the train to go take the state exam downtown.
Like 18, 17?
I just turned 18. Like literally, when it was mid, the next day I applied.
That's funny.
Because the guy said real estate, and I was like, I gotta do it. That's the ticket.
That's funny.
So I took the test. I was super nervous. I passed it on my first shot. I got like a 75. Like we needed a 74. At one point, I was so excited. I got that piece of paper. I was like, yeah. Riding home in the train, I was like, oh, Mom, look, I did it. We're rich.
Yeah.
And then So I signed up. I went to like couple different places. I went to Century 21, got the training, and then, all right, go.
So the traditional real estate agent route. You took that. Okay, cool.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like I was just horrible. Nothing happened. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't do anything. And
because it was like me, I'm assuming, hey, there's your desk, there's your phone, get to work, right?
Do what you got to do. Yeah, I shadowed a couple of people, but just nothing really. I got one listing, and then it was a disaster. I had one open house, just didn't work out. I tried to co-list it with somebody else, and never sold. And after that, I was like, all right, I've been doing this for a year. Now I'm going to go to 19. I gotta make money. I can't just be doing the shenanigans.
Right.
I started going to school. And then at that point, a friend of mine was like, hey, why don't you go to a headhunter? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, what's a headhunter? There's like, it's a company that finds you a job, but like a higher, not like a Little Caesar, so like a higher end job depending on your skill set. Yeah. So I went there, I applied, I kind of put my resume. One thing that I always was really into was computers growing up. I would build my own computer. I did all that stuff. So it was like a hobby that I really loved getting into. Yeah. And I also took a typing class in high school. So I was really good with the computer typing. Dope. So I killed the test, killed the computer. Yeah. So lady calls me back and she's like, look, I know you don't have any sales skill, right? Yeah. But you know a lot about computers and you killed the typing class. Yeah. There's a company, which was Tiger Direct. This was right before the dot-com boom. Oh, wow. They're distributors of computers and they're looking for sales. They want young guys straight out of college like you. Would you apply? And I was like, for sure, let me go. So I applied, I got hired, did my 2 weeks training. It's a call center. Yeah. So the way that they operate, which is actually a pretty cool system, if you're selling, let's say, computers, components, all that stuff, all they had a mailing list. So they were a catalog. So then you bring their products to them and they would market it for you. Because that was before internet and everything was really booming. So they had a call center. So you would call in and you would order parts. So we got trained basically to be on the phones.
Yeah.
So it's like anything. You suck, you're not going to make no money. And if you're good, you're going to make money. Right? And I remember my reference point was Little Caesars making like $200 every 2 weeks. Yeah. So once we finish the training, they tell us, okay, look, you're going to shadow somebody for like a week or 2 weeks. And I'm like, off the bat to tell the girl, hey, who's the top producing guy? Like, I just want to sit with that guy. They're like, it's this guy, but he doesn't sit with anybody. He's too busy. All right, perfect. So I go sit with some Mickey Mouse guy. I start doing it for like a week, 2 weeks. And I'm like, I'm not getting momentum. I'm not really thing. Yeah. One day I go on a Saturday. And there was really nobody there because nobody was going to go work on Saturdays. But I was like, my goal is to get my car in my head. I'm like, I got to get this fucking car. I got no car. But I don't want any car. I want a car when I go. The guy who's the main guy, he's there by himself.
The top producer.
The top producer is there by himself. And I go sit down with him. And I'm like, dude, it's Saturday. You know, you're in chancletas, you're in sandals, you're chilling. Let me just shadow you for an hour. He's like, dude, all right, but put on your headset, sit down. I'm going to do my thing. Yeah. So the way it works is those are all incoming calls. So they have a queue and you walk in, it's like 100 people online. Because again, this is pre.com boom. So people were getting into computers. Yeah. And he would just sit there and pick up the calls. A lot of the calls were routed to him because he was like the top guy. But then all the other ones will filter through. Yeah. The way it worked is when you sell, your job is basically almost like an order taker. Yeah. But you want to try to push the other person's product. Yeah. And if you were able to push, let's say, to use an example, Dell compared to HP, Dell will give you $150. Yeah. We'll give you $150. It's called a spiff. Yeah. So what this guy was doing, because he was making stupid money. Well, what I consider at that time stupid money was before bundles were created, he was creating his own bundle. So he would get, the Dell is giving him a bonus. Then he would get the software program is giving him a bonus. The mouse is giving him a bonus, and he'll create this whole thing. So he's getting a
cut off each little thing.
But so instead of taking the order, he's recommending to do the thing. Yeah. So then I was like, I saw him do that, and he was like, oh, so that was like
ingenious.
Huh? Yeah, I was like, dude, that's sick. And he's like, so I was like, okay. So then after that, I was like, dude, it's over. So I went gangbusters. Yeah. And at first, obviously, you're not good. Yeah. But I didn't care. And I think that was my advantage, that there were so many calls coming in that you mess up, and then one clicks, and then you're on fire. And then from there, I was like, there was 100 agents. I went from like 75, then I went to 50, then I went to 45, then I was like third next to that guy. Yeah. And then my first check, and I'll never forget it, that I got, it was like, and again, it's not a lot now, but when I saw it, it was like a check for 2 weeks. It was like $4,000. And I was making $2,000. I mean, sorry, $200 when I worked at Little Caesars. That's the only check I've ever seen. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck, $4,000. Oh, God damn.
In 2 weeks,
That's crazy. Yeah. So then from there, I was like, I was hooked. Like I saw the power of sales because I was like, dude, I can do this. And at the end of the day, it's not like you're telling me how much I'm going to make. I control. If I want to be there from 7 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, I can do that. And I can control that. Yep. And then like a little bit later, I got my first car. I bought a BMW. I was just like on top of the world. And then the .com boom, bust, boom. And then everybody was out of job. Yeah. So then I was just reset it from there. But that was like my first base into, I guess, sales, and then into the introductory into real estate again.
That's interesting. So, okay, so the bust happens. What do you do?
Well, the bust happens, and then I'm like, all right, I don't want to go work for somebody else because now I think I got some money saved away. I want to be an entrepreneur, and then I went to go do day trading.
Wow. Okay.
Horrible. I'll skip that one. I did that for a year. I lost like 40 grand. I lost the car, and then I was back to zero. Yeah. So I had nothing.
Start all over again. So then I was like, I didn't like trading because there was no people connection. Yeah. I didn't talk to anybody. It was like me in front of a computer and a broker, and then my dog. That's it. Yeah. And I was like, I don't like this. I love people. I want to be around people. Right. So then when that happened, and then I was like, I already lost a bunch of money. I was like, okay, I got to stop doing this. I was like, I got to go back to a job. I was like, I want to do sales. Yeah. A friend of mine, we went out, and then he brought another friend. And then that other friend came up and he pulled up in a Mercedes CLK. And I'm like, oh, this guy's a Mercedes CLK. I'm like, dude, and we're chatting. Guy was super cool people. And I was like, hey, dude, what are you doing? Like, you have a nice car, man. And he's like, I'm doing sales. And I was like, what kind of sales are you doing? Because you're talking my language. And he's like, I'm doing, I work for Carnival.
And I was like, what do you mean you work? What do you do for Carnival?
Cruises?
The cruises. He was like, Carnival, that was, at one point, there was travel agencies.
Yeah.
So what Carnival was trying to do, they were trying to cut out the travel agencies. So Carnival was kind of secretly opening up their own personal vacation planner division, where they would create marketing, and then again, it's a call center situation. You call in, but then it would be assigned to you as kind of like you're a planner, but they would cut out the travel agency.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I applied to that. Then I started working there. And then that's the other system. And I think that's the other leg up in the system that I learned, because I learned the power of having, let's say, like a catalog with Tiger Direct and the telephone. Yeah. Here, I learned the power of the telephone, but having a database, because the way it worked on the first job I worked at, it was basically taking orders. Yeah. But at the other place, it wasn't. I'm not going to sell you a cruise in 2 minutes. Like you're not going to. It's an expensive item.
Yeah.
So I have to build a relationship with you. So here I learned how to, because on the Tiger Direct one, I learned how to communicate with so many different people, because people were ordering from around the world, but to make it quick. Here I learned how to use those same communication skills, but not to build a relationship.
The long game.
Correct. The long game, and then to have a database, and then to work that database where I'm sending you emails. Yeah, I'm sending you letters, I'm sending you notes, and I'm following up with you to then eventually close a deal. Yeah, right. So then I did that I would say for like 2 years, and I got really good. To the point where I was training, they were recording my phone calls, because you learn how to build a relationship. Yep. And in doing that, I remember there was one person that they assigned to me as a lead. Mm-hmm. And this guy was like, he had like, I don't know what, some sort of birthday party thing, and my dude booked like 15 balcony cabins, and I was like, and he paid for all of them. And I was like, damn. So then I was like, I'm gonna talk to this guy. Yeah. So we start building a relationship, talking, and then I'm like, yeah, just out of curiosity, you don't have to tell me, but what do you do for a living? And he's like, I'm a real estate developer. Yeah. And I was like, click. And I was like, for real? Like, what do you develop? He's like, I do commercial this, and this, and this, and this. And then, okay, you told me. Perfect. So then that's a thing that started clicking. I'm like, man, that's next level. To be able to spend 20, 30 grand on a cruise and you pay for everybody. I'm like, I would love to do something like that. Yeah. And then that was the seed that then got planted. At that point, that was probably like 2003, 2002, 2004.
Right when it started going.
Yes. Yeah. So then I had a team lead, right? And then I was like, okay, I'm done with this cruise shit. Like, I want to get into real estate now, especially after this guy.
Now it's for full circle back to when originally you got the real estate.
You got it, but now I got some skills. Yeah. Because now I can sell. Yeah. I'm not Mickey Mouse anymore. Now I have some skills, and I'm like, I was top producer in the other place. I was top producer in this place, and I actually had a team in this other place. So now I know how to manage people as well. Yeah. So now I was like, okay, what's my next opportunity? And everything is just kind of falls into place. It's kind of weird. Yeah. My neighbor, this girl we had right in front of the house, because I still lived at my house. I didn't move out yet. I was still living at home, saving all my money. Yeah. she had a boyfriend. Yeah. Dude, I remember I had a Beamer. I had a Mickey Mouse. To me, it was the greatest thing, but I had a Mickey Mouse 3 Series Beamer. Yeah. This guy pulls up in like an M3, brand new M3. And I was like, I told my brother, I was like, like, find out what's the situation with this guy. Like, dude, how did he get an M3? So this guy had recently come from Cuba. Yeah. Like 6 months. And I was like, oh, he has an M3? Oh, wow, good for him. Yeah. 6 months come by. No kidding. My friend pulls up in a Ferrari. Wow. That guy pulls up in a Ferrari. And then I was like, Danny, that's my brother's name. I go talk to our neighbor, ask her, like, gee, what is this guy doing? So he talks to her, and she's like, well, he's doing mortgages. Because we're already in 2004, 2005. You know, that's like when stuff's getting...
Like selling arms and...
subprime. So he was doing... And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is what I need to do. Yeah. So luckily enough, one of the guys that was in my team, he calls me. And he's like, Dave. He's like, I was like, what's going on? He's like, dude, I'm working at this place, Countrywide. I don't know if you heard of Countrywide. Yep. Countrywide Home Loans. And I was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, we're doing mortgages. He's like, dude, they're looking for people. You will kill it here. And I was like, he's like, all right, perfect. I was like, hook me up.
Of course, you're
I was there. I was like, ready next step. So I met the manager. The guy was super good people. And he's like, all right, let's go. Let's put you in. Same thing. I shout out somebody, but at this point I was like, this is easy for me. Yeah. They had the same system, kind of like Tiger Direct, where calls were coming in, where you would take the call, but kind of the way it worked here is more like there were incoming calls, but it wasn't assigned to you. It was whoever picked up the phone first, like almost like boiler room. And then you picked up the phone, that was your lead that you picked up, and then you had to work that lead.
Yeah. Okay.
But a lot of these guys, and this is kind of like, I started doing good, and then average people were doing their 8-9. But then what I noticed that they were doing there, which is the whole, is that they were kind of doing the first thing, like Tiger Direct system, it was just burning leads. You get them and you try to close them, and you get them and you try to close them. None of them were nurturing the leads.
Yeah.
So they weren't having the same system like Carnival Cruise Line has, where you implement a system where you kind of work the lead. So what did
now you're combining both.
Yes. So then I'm seeing the whole, and I was like, dude, guys, and I would try to tell people, well, I'm like, you're burning leads. I'm like, you're talking to these people, and then you're wasting like things. I was like, you know what the most expensive thing is? To generate the lead.
Yeah.
The company's generating the lead for you.
Yeah.
Work the lead. Nobody listens. So perfect. Yeah. I got my own little database. I used Act. I built my own database. Everybody who would come in, I would put them in there. I ended up getting a list of like 5,000 people.
Wow.
I started working them. I would send direct mail. I would do everything. And then I just built I built a business off of that. And then I went from I was doing pretty good. I was doing 3, 4, 5. Then I went 8. The top producer at that time was doing maybe 10, 11. I did 1 month, 18.
Wow.
And out of the 18, maybe 6 or 7 of them were from countrywide, and the rest were self-sourced from referrals from everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I was like, dude, boom. I did it.
Crack the code.
I'm waiting for my check because, dude, I'm gonna get a fucking fat check. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get a big check. You know, 18.
You're good.
18. I get a check, Brian. It was like $12,000, right? But here's the thing I gotta tell you: we were charging points up front.
Yeah.
So we were charged 3 points up front.
Yeah.
And they were making 3 points in the back end. So then to do the math, you're talking about 7%. So you're making 7% commission on $100,000, you're making $7,000. The average was 300,000 to 400,000. So that commission, if I was a broker, that would have been like $200-something thousand. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this is how these guys are. We're slaves. Yeah. And I was like, that's okay, because you're bringing the lead. And then from there, I was like, I'm out.
Doing my own thing.
Because I have it.
Yep.
And then that's when I moved, and then I got my own shop, and then market crashed. Boom, 2008.
How soon from when you opened up your own operation to the market crashing?
6 months.
6 months?
Literally, 6-7 months.
So you're probably just getting warmed up and doing good. And
dude, I was excited, man. I had a pipeline, and then it went from having a pipeline to then the lenders telling you, hey, we can't fund your deal because a lot of my leads were subprime. Yeah. They were like, we can't fund your deal because we're a business.
Now, were you paying attention to what was going on, or were you just turning and burning and closing deals?
I wasn't. When you say paying attention, you mean like what's going on with the market?
What's going on with the market?
Like, no, it caught me by surprise.
Have you seen The Big Short?
Yeah, movie? Of course. Yeah.
So you weren't paying attention at all. You were just doing deals.
What was very weird was at one point, we had a meeting with the big people from, you could tell kind of there's a company shift. Yeah. And the big people from the big wigs came. I'm talking about the big wigs. Yeah. They came into our office and they were pushing this pay option thing. And they were telling us like, dude, if you guys sell this, we're going to give you this much extra. And we're talking about 4 times the amount, the other one. And I was like, so I have an option where the person could get a mortgage. They could choose the first option and be negative on their mortgage and put it on top. I was like, this doesn't sound right. And you're going to pay me more money to sell that? Yeah. I think that was maybe my first little inkling in, but to say that I saw the market crash, no.
Yeah. Honestly, and when did that meeting and that offer initially start?
I would say that was probably like a year before the market crashed.
Year before it crashed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you could see the energy that our first manager, which was fantastic. Yeah. He got fired. They brought in some like slick haired guy from New York. And I was like, dude, that is weird. Yeah. Yeah. So what's going on here? Yeah.
But again, everybody's making money. No one's thinking anything.
No, everybody thought it was, everything was good. Except till it wasn't good.
Yeah. So it crashes. Now what?
So then the market crashes, and then everything's a shit. Like no money coming in. There was a lot of things going in. But then I was like,
prepared?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of money put away.
Okay.
So I had funds put away, which I was fine. Financially, I was fine. I wasn't in a situation where I was thinking, but I was like, the way I saw it, I was like, this is my opportunity. Yeah. So then I was like, I always have these like times where I'm going to sit down and I'm talk to myself, and I was like, okay. Everybody's starting from scratch because all there is fires in the streets. Yeah. So I was like, you can't buy right now because like you said, you saw The Big Short. a stripper was fine 5 houses if you're a stripper. So then if that was predominantly most of the people, they were just a lot of people trying to buy money and make money. And it's funny because let me go circle back. Our friend with the Ferrari, he ended up being sent to prison because he was doing fraud. Oh. So that's how the situation was at that time. It was like kind of fast money. That's the best way. Nobody was doing the long game. My fortunate thing was that I had a massive database that I still get in contact with. The only thing is that those phone calls started changing. Yeah. So instead of those phone calls being, hey, Dave, we need a loan, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I can't pay for my mortgage. I need help. I can't pay for my mortgage. I started getting a lot of those phone calls every day. Yeah. So then at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to help you out. So then this is when I started learning how to do loan modifications for people. And I started getting the loan modification game, but for free. I was not charging anybody for doing it. I was just doing it for free because I wanted to help people out. So I started with that process. But in doing that, I wasn't obviously making any money. I figured it out that the only people who could at this time be able to buy are going to be first-time home buyers. So I knew that was going to be huge because who else is going to have credit? Everybody else smoked their credit. So if you're coming out and you didn't fall into this hole, you had the opportunity to the opportunity of a lifetime. And then Obama came out with the Obama credit thing that if you buy for first-time home buyers, and I was like, bet. I went to Miami-Dade County. I got certified as an instructor to give people a grant for first time. And then I went to a bunch of nonprofits that do housing, and I told them, look, let me be your speaker. And then let's do first-time home buyer workshops. Because there's a bunch of properties, the market's getting crazy, but there's money being given out, the city's giving money.
There's opportunity here.
Massive. So I started doing workshops. Every Sunday, every Saturday, workshops. And then I started building that database. And the database I already had, I saying, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. Send anybody that you have. And then from there, it started rolling. Then I started getting people pre-qualified for first-time homebuyer grants, programs, and then the business started picking up and exploding. And then from that point is when I started really making a lot of money again in regards to doing loans. It went to a point though where a lot of the properties that were just more fixer-upper, and they weren't like because people were just getting foreclosed on and they were just leaving the house destroyed. So there was a kind of the demand for houses that needed already fixed. So I was like, all right, so I have the leads, I have the people. A lot of these realtors that were not really working the people. So then I was like, all right, I think we could do this. I have some money. So I talked to my uncle because he's a VP of a bank. And I was like, I need some money. Let's work this out. This is what I'm doing. Because at that time, my girl, her dad, he was not a general contractor, but he worked in construction. Her uncle, which is my friend's dad, they were doing high rises. So this guy was doing big time projects. So I had an avenue. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. I bought an apartment. I fixed it up. I brought somebody in from one of my leads that I had qualified. Boom, the deal was smooth. I got paid off of the commission, and then I got paid off of the real estate. But I didn't pay, it was 3%. It was like 30, 40 grand. And I was like, oh shit, we're into something. And then from there is when I started doing like the buying of properties, fixing them up and selling them. But I had my own clientele. I wasn't really needing to put it in the market per se at that point.
You already have your database.
Yes,
and all those other people.
I had people already first time pre-qualified. And then at that point, also the money that I was getting, I wasn't spending it. I was buying properties. So I built a massive portfolio of rentals because in my head, from Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was like, I don't want to hustle forever. So I was like, I have to build a rental portfolio. I got very fortunate that I was able to gobble up a lot of those little $20,000, $30,000, $60,000 duplexes. And I was able to like kind of build a little portfolio from there. And then after that, everybody caught on. And then everybody started getting into a flip game.
How long from when you were doing it and doing it?
I would say when it got...
What's the timeline?
I would say when it got pretty prominent, I would say a good amount of time went through. Maybe like 2-3 years. Because I went through...
2010, 2011?
Because I went through the REO section where there was just people wanting to be REO agents. I went through a lot of those stages. So, I would say...
That makes sense because when I got in the business in LA in 2013... they had told me that like a year before it started to kind of come up. And then when I got in, the market started to explode. And they said, at least in LA, I can't speak for Miami, but when it crashed, right, that pre-crash peak, we already reached those prices in 2013 in August in LA. So whatever the peak was before it crashed, by 2013 in August, we were back to those prices already.
You had
the prices coming up.
Balanced out.
But I talked to so many investors and people that made a killing because they bought up all the properties in LA and South Central LA for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
And those same properties now are going for 500, 600, 700. I mean, and they're in the hood.
Right.
But they were getting them for, 20, 30, 40, 50,000. That's crazy, man.
Right.
That's crazy. So, from there, did it just evolve into what it is now, or was there other?
No, there were still stages because at that point, now before we were just getting properties, let's say like off the MLS.
Yeah.
So then I just had a pipeline of people who were ready to buy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but you don't want a property that's messed up. I got you.
Yeah.
But at that point, since everybody got in the game, all those leads started drying up. So it wasn't easy. It was a bidding war now to start getting properties off the MLS in order to do repairs.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like when you do good, then you get rewarded. That's the only way I could think about it. All those people that I was helping out to do loan modifications, it was a lot, Brian, a lot of people. Not everybody got qualified to get a loan modification.
Right.
A lot of those people were forced to sell because they were going to go into foreclosure.
Yep.
So at that point then, I was like, okay, I started helping people negotiate short sales.
Yep.
But the only difference was we started negotiating the short sales, but then we were the ones buying the properties instead of selling it. And we were getting stupid discounts. Stupid. So at this point, now, I'm not competing anymore with the people in the streets. I'm off the streets.
You're an insider now.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then I was like, but then obviously I would only get so many leads because not everybody that I had needed a loan modification. My pipeline was already kind of drying out.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, there's a massive opportunity here because in order for you to get a loan modification at that time, you were either paying somebody to do it, which is an attorney, and they were charging you arm and leg. So what did I do? I'm going back to my Carnival and my Tiger Direct training days. I was like, build a database. So I went to the Miami-Dade County Court of Clerks and I built a database of every single person that's going into foreclosure.
Wow.
I built a marketing campaign and I sent a direct mail campaign to everybody saying, you are going to lose your house. If you want to keep it, I'll help you. We'll do a loan modification for free.
Yeah.
Not going to cost you one penny. You could go to your attorney. It's going to charge you money. I'll do it absolutely for free. Wow. Took it to the next step level. Got Mojo, and we got on the phones every day. From 8 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, from 8 to 11, because that was too much for me. So every day I was just dial, and build a massive database of people now wanting to do loan modifications. Yeah. We were very successful with some people. Some people didn't work. We ended up getting the short sell. So that's where my leads were coming from.
That was the thing.
Correct.
You know a lot of people aren't going to qualify anyway, so you're offering the
80%.
service. Some you'll service and actually modify the loan. Other people are going to have to sell. That's where you come
Correct.
in. Cool.
And then we were getting all our deals from them. We were just making a killing.
Yeah.
And then that went good for a while. Then short sales started dying out.
Yeah.
The more people were in the market. And then at that point, I started seeing the writing on the walls. I'm like, the only way to scale up is going to be with development. As the only next level that I saw. The only next level, because at that point I was seeing some other people that were doing development projects and I saw the margins that they were making and I was like, whoa, there's heavy money there.
This is where I need to be. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And then I remembered my friend with the 15 cabins and I was like, this is my dream to get there. So I was like, and then this is the thing about development here. In a lot of other states you can go, this is an application and then you get to be a general contractor. Yeah. Not in Florida because we have hurricanes.
Yep.
So it's almost a 2-year process in order for you to be able to get you have to take the regular school exam, which is about a year of thing. And then you have to take 3 state exams that you have to pass independently, they're super hard.
Much more barriers.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then knowing that there's a larger barrier to entry, then I knew that's it, because it's not going to be as easy where the loan modifications, the listings they were online to try to get for flips, the short sales, those are easy barriers to entry.
Yeah.
In order for you to get now a piece of land or to do it, you need to know what you're doing.
The work,
Right. I know how to generate the leads.
Yeah.
I have the capital. And then now I have the resources because my wife's uncle does that for a living with these George Perez's, all the high rises. Yeah. My father-in-law, now he's the general. Okay. Yeah.
So all the pieces to the puzzle.
They're all there, Brian.
Yeah.
So then that was just it. Just me going to class, boom, boom, getting it done, and then getting my license.
What was your first project that you did?
The first project was one in it's kind of like a hood project. You got to go save it. The hood you always say. There we go. Because it's low money. So it was actually off a tax deed certificate.
Okay.
So do you know what?
Yep.
Okay, so anybody who doesn't know what a tax certificate is, if you don't pay the taxes on your property, then the city will come and they'll take over your property for unpaid taxes. You could pay the taxes, and as long as you pay the taxes, then you get the property.
There's a grace period, yeah. And
absolutely.
Every state and every county is different. That's how I bought the first 4 properties. I got them in Texas from the tax deed auctions.
Okay,
so
they're excellent.
Yeah,
they're excellent.
Yeah.
So if you know what you're doing, they're excellent. So when people are over here fighting for these scraps, I'm looking for somewhere else.
Yeah.
So on there was a piece of land. $40,000. And I was like, dude, this is a no-brainer. There's no risk here, big time. So I buy that land, and then it was just that. And then the other thing was that.
How big was that lot for 40 grand?
It was 7,000 square foot lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a good size.
Okay.
The only thing is that I wasn't going to come in as a traditional builder.
Okay.
So when I say traditional builder, most builders are concrete, CBS.
Yeah.
That's what you see here. I was like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something new. And so then I'm only one of I'll say maybe there's another guy who does it, steel framing.
Okay.
Where we build everything out of steel. So the whole frame, the whole structure is steel iron, resistant to fungus. There's no fire, there's no nothing. Yeah. Everything steel. And the other thing is they already come in pieces, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're doing a CVS block building, you got to put the cement, the weatherware, you have to wait, then you have to pass an inspection. With us, no. I lay out the foundation, and it's just, we have a factory that makes all the pieces of the frame. Wow. They drop it off, and it's just bing, 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 bing. In 4 days, I have a house already structured up. Yeah. Because the most expensive thing with anything, if you're doing a flip or you're going to do a new construction, is time. Yep. It's the cost of time. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to take a project that's going to take you 18 months to construct, and you could bring it down to 8, right? That's huge. Yep. Or 10. So then that's basically our thing. We do all steel construction. Wow. And that was the first project, and we killed it.
And how did that originate, the idea to go all steel? Did somebody tell you that? Is that something you just kind of figured out on your own? No,
it was actually my wife's uncle. He built his house. He kind of has to kind of say, from steel. And he did it. He told me, and I went to his house, and I was like, dude, it's like amazing steel. And I was like, but he doesn't have licenses. He doesn't have, he came from Chile, and he's a first generation here. Yeah. So he doesn't know about the passing the licenses, but he knows construction. Yeah. And I was like, I got it.
There we go.
So from there, I was like, dude, let's do this. Yeah. So. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So that was the first one. If we fast forward to now, how many projects do you know? Like in general,
we just finished the 5th one.
Okay. What was the date on that first one, by the way? That first project you did that you just described to me.
It was not that long ago. It was maybe 3 years ago.
Okay, cool. So
3 years ago. Cool. Yeah. So then we went from that to single family, to really get good at it, because I don't want to go. And then now we evolved. I have we're doing 4 in Miami Shores, which are going to be $4 million houses. Nice. And then we're doing, not yet, but that's going to be probably like 2026. It's a 19-unit multifamily building in Alapata. And then there's in Hollywood, we have a 52-unit multifamily building that we're doing. And then a townhouse. Well, we're 8, not to cut it in half. So it's like a 5-unit townhouse in Hollywood. And that's just what we have in the pipeline now. Right now, we're literally today closed on 2 of our projects. And I'm just going to go shopping to buy.
Dope.
Yeah. The opportunity now is fantastic. The opportunity
in a candy store.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. Because 2024 is, if you guys are getting into the market right now, you could not ask for a better market. This, to me, honestly, is like 2010, 2011, 2012. Yeah. Like, we're in ground again. Because if you look at the news, everything's fear. Everything's going to calm down. Yeah. The fundamentals are there. Yeah. So the only thing is that artificially, rates got jacked up. Yeah. So they're killing certain people who have floating rates, right? And people don't want to sell. But if you look at the pricing's coming down. If you look at numbers, they'll pencil out. So if you're able to go in and buy things and hold on, you're going to make a killing, because the minute they stop dropping rates, there's still a need for housing. People are going to come back.
Inventory is still super low. Yeah.
And also, if you're a realtor, what better opportunity? Start marketing to first-time home buyers. Start talking to people. This is your chance.
Yeah, but like you said, most people operate in fear, so they're not thinking strategy, opportunity like you. And that sounds like, when I listen to your story, the last 30 minutes or hour that we've been speaking, regardless of what was happening, you put your head down and you said, okay, where is the opportunity? And you figured it out. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, they don't do that naturally, or they don't have the guidance to do it. It's whatever the news is saying, like, oh my God, no, I'm not going to do anything. What do you mean we're going to do a deal right now? No way. You heard the news about how the market is. But like you said, they don't look at the numbers, right? It's nuts, bro. So in the future, 5 years, 10 years from now, is there, because you already mentioned some big projects, man. Is there anything on the horizon for you beyond that is like really, because you mentioned the guy getting all those cabins, right?
Yeah.
What's that next type of goal or thing that you want to achieve?
Financially, company-wise?
All of it.
I would say company-wise is just continue where we're going, because everything is just like, I didn't get to where I'm at now without Little Caesars.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just a progression. And to me, I just look at this as a game. Yeah. It's almost like with the training, I started doing the calisthenics with you and Bryan and all that stuff. And it's just like, I never knew about that before, right? I've done MMA, I've done everything. I still got a little black eye from Saturday from sparring. So it's like, how far can I push it, right? Yeah. So then when I saw this calisthenics things, I'm like, dude, this is new. How far can I push that? Yeah. So the same thing with this business. As I open windows, I could see bigger. So then now we're to the point where we're doing $4 or $5 million houses. Well, eventually, all I got to do is jump a street down and I'm in the water. So I'm going to do 10, $15 million houses. And then I want to do whole developments. I know the guy who does all our stucco work. Yeah. He's a really good friend of mine now. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I need you to come here and do this and this. He's like, oh, I can't, Dave, because I got to do this. And I was like, what do you do? He's like, dude, we have I think it was 30 something houses we're doing. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, send me the address. Sends me the address. I see the address, I see the layout, and I'm like, okay. And I see right above it, there's a whole other lot. I price out the lot, I do all the math, and I'm like, we can buy that. I could afford to get that kind of thing. I just don't have the skills and knowledge yet to do that. Right. Long and behold, the guy ends up selling the whole development, and the same lot I was looking at sold to that guy. And I was like, I was right. Because he saw the same thing I saw, and he bought that. Yep. So then I'm like, So then for the future, I'm seeing is just really how far can I take it? So I'm looking development, multifamily development, 100 unit properties, because those properties that are the multifamily, those are in our portfolio. Yeah. I don't sell those. Anything that I have, the cash flows, 2 doors, 4 doors, 6 doors, 10 doors, that's for legacy. Yeah. So everything that I make in regards to development for a single family house or development, all that profit goes to buy assets for the future to bring me more cash flow. Yeah. So
smart, man.
So for that.
Cool, man. Wow. What an interview, bro. Those are some cool stories, bro. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, somebody wants to get in contact with you, what's the best?
I would say the best is just our Instagram, which is Ally Liberty Development in Instagram. That's really, you can see we're posting projects all the time, and then you'll see our progression. It's just how we're moving. So we're moving fast. And I'm telling you guys, 2024, if you're getting into this business, this is it. If you're new to real estate, get coaching, get training, do whatever you need to do, because there's no excuse. This to me is a pause or reset. So this is the biggest opportunity. Whoever says in 2025 that, man, I wish it was better, it's because you didn't do anything. Because it's right there for you right now.
I agree, man. So, and I'm definitely gonna get out there and do some video of some of your projects too. I'd love to get you. I'd love to get you on it too, on video, and kind of describe everything. Because I remember I did. We sold this $15 million property in San Diego, and this guy who was the owner, right? He was the husband. He was an engineer, and he kind of created a model of what he thought a good remodel would be, right? And he had the schematics and the plans. He already had everything approved by the city. And I had to really twist his arm, but I agreed with him to actually get on video and explain everything. Okay. So in that video, there's a 2 or 3 minute segment where I sit down with him and he explains the model and all. Oh, that's cool. It's super cool, dude. Okay. But that's kind of what I was thinking about when you were describing it, because it's almost like the same thing, right. Planning the vision right into reality. Yeah. So that's really cool, bro. But again, bro, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. This is another episode for you guys. Again, reach out to David. He's doing big things out here in Miami, and I definitely think he can come on for another episode in the future. All right. See you guys. Thank you.